So, somehow it is already 2023, which is crazy because I'm still just kind of removing myself from 2020. I'm still not even sure that 2020 was an actual year, but yeah, here we are in 2023, 3 years later. And since it's the end of the year, it's that time to rank the top 10 films from 2022. Now, 2022 was a fantastic year for films. There was a little something for everybody. 2020 and 2021 sucked complete ass for the movie industry, which made 2022 feel like a resurrection of sorts. Because of this, 10 movies is just not enough. There were so many good movies this year, and I kind of want to talk about all of them, so this is actually going to be a top 20 list. So here we go, the first 10 I'll go through really quick. Number 20 is Bones and All. It has a lot of really great moments, some great performances. I just think the second half of the movie is kind of dull. The Black Phone, who remembers The Black Phone? Because I didn't, but it actually was pretty great, so here it is at 19. Number 18 was Barbarian. Has maybe the best horror sequence I've seen in a very long time. First act of this movie is phenomenal. The second act, not so much. 17, The Batman, which at one point was my #1 film of the year, and it has since fallen all the way down to 17. I don't know, it just hasn't aged well for me, but it is still a really great movie. 16 is Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, another really fun biopic. Austin Butler does a great job, the music's great, nothing much more to say about that. 15 is Glass Onion. I think it's a lot better than the first movie. Rian Johnson has proven that he is actually good at making movies. Not named Star Wars. After Sun is fucking depressing, but overall, really good movie, well performed, well shot, and a very good ending. Number 13 is The Fabelmans, Steven Spielberg's biopic. Overall, really good, really like the ending. As a aspiring filmmaker, of course I love this thing. The cameo at the end of the movie, phenomenal. Number 12 is Black Panther Wakanda Forever, easily my favorite comic book movie in probably 3 or 4 years. Number 11 is Decision to Leave, a South Korean movie that is incredibly fun. It's super silly, but also kind of depressing and really dramatic, and I definitely recommend going to watch it. Alright, now time to get to the big boys. Number 10 is The Banshees of Inisherin. Inisherin? I don't know. Regardless of how it's pronounced, The Banshees is directed by Martin McDonagh. The Banshees is a dark comedy starring Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, which follows two friends who are essentially fighting for no reason, pretty much. The film does a really good job at getting you really invested in these people who, for all terms and purposes, are just not that interesting. The dialogue is super fast, and the movie is overall hilarious, but when the film decides to take its turn from comedy to a very serious and dark drama, it's incredibly effective, dealing up some of the more emotional scenes in film this year. My only critique for this film would be that it gets to a point where the film was shoving its subtext down your throat, like, in case you didn't see it, this is what the film actually means. It got to a point where I just felt like maybe the writer or the director, maybe they just didn't feel confident that it was going to get through to audiences, which makes no sense to me, but I don't know. Overall, great movie. Everybody seems to love it. Go watch The Banshees. I think it's on HBO Max at the moment. The Northman came out way at the start of 2022, which feels like a decade ago at this point. The Northman serves as Robert Eggers' transition from small-budget indie darling to one of the best filmmakers working today. I mean, The Northman is fucking epic. I mean, it's unbelievably raw in its depiction of the time period it takes place in. Eggers commits completely to developing this Viking world, as well as the basic yet extremely effective revenge plot that feels just super satisfying to watch play out. Alexander Skarsgård and Anya Taylor-Joy are both really great in this movie. Ethan Hawke, who's like barely in it, I remember him being just absolutely awesome in this thing. The sound is really unique, the sound design for the movie, the music is really different. Overall, I can't wait to see what Eggers does next. He's one of my favorite filmmakers working right now, and The Northman, yeah, phenomenal movie. So Tar is a very weird movie. On the one hand, during my first viewing, after the first hour, I was feeling a little bit empty inside. And not in the, wow, this film is so sad or impactful type of empty, but more of a like, is this almost over, you know, checking my watch, kind of bored as shit type of way. But as the film goes on and the slow burn nature of this character study starts to play out, I started to truly understand what director Todd Field was trying to do with this project. And by the time the final brilliant scene plays out, I was stunned at how surprising and smart this film actually is. I don't really even know how to describe this thing without talking about it in spoiler terms, so I'll keep it pretty simple. I mean, Cate Blanchett is incredible and probably should win the Oscar for this. Todd Field's ability ability to display what power can do to an artist at the top of their field was really, really relevant. And I've already said it, but I mean, the ending of this movie is so good and so surprising and hilarious and emotional, and I just absolutely love it. You know, I saw this movie months ago, and I can say without a doubt, like, I still think about this thing almost every day, which in terms shows just how effective it was. But yeah, it's number 8 because the first act, it's kind of rough. I mean, holy shit, this thing kind of came out of nowhere. How would I describe Everything Everywhere All at Once, directed by the Daniels?
This is art, Mr. White.
This film, starring Michelle Yeoh, is unbelievably original. On the one hand, it's a kung fu multiversal action movie. Think Kill Bill meets Spider-Man No Way Home. On the other hand, it's an incredible depiction of the pressures of family, being a parent, being a daughter, and the differences we may face between us and our own loved ones throughout our lives. It's incredibly emotional, spectacularly well acted, and overall just original. This is the film that Hollywood kind of needed right now, something so original that it kind of transcends any sort of genre that Hollywood has established over the years. It was the right time at the right place, which is why it's probably going to sweep the award season. It's something so new that I don't fully understand what this movie is myself. Like, I'm trying to understand it just thinking about it right now, but it's a lot of it is just so new to me. But I love it. The only reason it's 7 on this list is maybe I didn't connect to it as much as everybody else. I think the third act kind of dragged a little bit too long for me. The ending was kind of forgettable in the sense that I don't even really remember what happened at the end of this movie. But hey, that's just me. Still a fantastic movie. Why is nobody talking about this movie? All Quiet on the Western Front is a German-made film directed by Edgard Berger that depicts the final days of World War I from the eyes of a group of young German soldiers who excitingly join the war effort, buying into the war propaganda that comes from their country, only to discover that the horrors that wait for them on the battlefield are exactly that. They are just horrors. This film...
Delicious.
It's maybe the best war movie, ever, maybe? I mean, I can't say for sure, but I watched this film at home on my TV. This thing was made to be seen on the big screen, and if I had seen it on a movie screen, it probably would be number 1. The cinematography in this is absolutely unreal. The set design is masterful. The true and real depiction of war made the events that take place feel like a fully immersive version of hell, which of course war is supposed to be. The battle sequences played out more like horror scenes, and were honestly some of the scariest things I've seen in movies all year. Instead of being heroic fights where soldiers do pull off these big heroic and amazing acts, it's just devastation and dread and disaster, which is, to me, what war should be portrayed as, which is not what it's portrayed as in most of Hollywood. The ending was both sad, but perfectly fitted the ending of the story arc that we had been following. Overall, this film is incredible, and just talking about it right now, it should probably be higher on this list, but yes, please go give it a watch. It's on Netflix. Go watch it. So I only saw Top Gun Maverick recently, so maybe this is just recency bias, but I really love this thing. It really is the epic movie that everybody's hyping it up to be. It really is a movie. I'm not the biggest fan of the first Top Gun. I find it to be incredibly silly and just not really my thing. And this film is also incredibly silly, but it has the benefit of being newer and insanely well made. This film makes the list this high almost exclusively because of its third act, which it just might be the best thing I've ever seen. I mean, you truly have to see it to believe it. I mean, the third act of this movie is just crazy. I can't imagine how difficult it was to film this thing, and I have complete respect for everybody involved in making it. This is a film I could definitely see myself going back and just rewatching for fun. So yeah, Top Gun Maverick, amazing movie. The Menu is the easiest film on this list to watch, and what I mean by that is it's not trying to be anything more than a good hour-and-a-half long distraction from your everyday life. This is a simple yet tightly paced film that balances both thriller, horror, but mostly comedic elements into its ridiculous concept. This film is hilarious in its ironic depiction of wealth and class. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, nor does it do any one thing particularly better than any of the other films on this list, but I could say without a doubt it was the most entertaining movie experience I had all year. Also, Ralph Fiennes is ridiculously good in this movie and has not been talked about enough. People always say this about a lot of different films, but this is truly one of those performances that steals every single scene that he's in. Overall though, yeah, The Menu is great. It's the type of film that I feel like everybody would probably enjoy. Yeah, I'm a hot guy. Bodies, what the fuck? How in the world did a film called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies by newcomer Helena Regin starring Pete Davidson of all people end up being one of the best movies of the year? A goofy horror murder mystery about a group of Gen Z kids sounds like a perfect formula for a film that would end up making me want to rip my own eyeballs out and feed him to Colin Farrell's goat in the Banshees of Inisherin. But this film is fucking awesome. I mean, it's shot in such a unique way with very interesting lighting decisions. The cinematography is just really cool to look at. Not in like a Dune way where it's like, whoa, look at these cool shots, but more in like a, wow, this is so simple but so effective. The script here, though, is what really makes the film. I mean, it's actually incredible. It depicts Gen Z in a very smart way, but doesn't, like, scream like, oh, this was written by a 60-year-old person. It feels very relevant to Gen Z, and it feels like it was written by somebody that either is from Gen Z or just understands Gen Z as a whole. The movie is funny. I mean, it's fucking hilarious. But it also had some of the best written dialogue just in general from this season of movies. What truly makes this film incredible, though, is its ending, which somehow finds a way to be incredibly satisfying and caught me completely off guard. When I was watching this movie, about halfway through, I started thinking about all the possible endings for this movie, and I came to the realization that every single one of them would be unsatisfying. So when the ending of this movie actually appeared, and it came completely out of left field, I was stunned and amazed and was laughing hysterically. It was the perfect cherry on top to this super surprising movie, and overall, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is amazing. So I've seen The Whale twice now, and both times I left the theater completely broken, looking like Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar. I understand this film isn't for everybody, so I'm just gonna kind of list off the reasons for why this film is most definitely for me. Let's start with Darren Aronofsky, who continues to be one of my favorite filmmakers working today. He's made some of my favorite movies ever, and his style just continues to connect with me. Brendan Fraser's performance is as advertised. It's amazing. He's gonna win the Oscar. The film really deals with a very heavy topic. I mean, it chooses to focus on the ideas of self-abuse. It does this by taking a character who is maybe like the best person on planet Earth, maybe the nicest guy ever in Charlie. It's a man who sees no wrong or evil in others and loves unconditionally. A man who, although has made mistakes, just feels a tremendous amount of regret over any sort of pain he's caused to others. He loves everyone, except for himself, which is really what makes this movie so devastating. It shows how painful it could be to hate yourself. The behavior of treating others with love and kindness, yet never being able to replicate that same love for your own self, instead choosing to harm yourself, in this case with food, it is tormenting to watch, and it strikes a nerve so deep with me. I'm so glad this film was told the way it was, because it could have been told with any sort of addiction or self-harming plot device, but Aronofsky chose to use, or whoever wrote it, because I'm pretty sure it's based off a stage play, they chose to use food as a measure of showing the self-abuse and the self-hatred, which is something that I think is very relevant in our current society, but is definitely not talked about enough. Overall, this film is incredibly sad. It's emotional, but it's also a film that I felt a distinct connection to for one reason or another, which is ultimately what a film is about. It's about connections. It's about connecting us to the art itself. You could say The Whale for me was a Strand type movie.
I'm back.
Nah, I'm just fucking with you. But if you haven't seen my new movie yet, link in the description. It's pretty fucking great. Yeah, this had to be number one. A decade from now, if we were talking about any film from this year, it'll be Avatar. The film is about to pass Top Gun for being the #1 highest grossing film since COVID, and that's with less than a month of it running in theaters. And goddamn James Cameron, I'm believing in you, man. I'm starting to believe. The guy is a goddamn bank for Hollywood. What's there to say about this that hasn't already been said? It's visually the best thing ever made. I mean, it adds emotional depth that the first film was missing, choosing to focus on family and a new group of children characters that are significantly more interesting than Sully and any of the original characters. The film introduces new mysteries of the world of Pandora and legitimately got me excited to see where this world and this series is going in Avatar 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's focused, not worried about what's next, but simply telling the story of the current moment while expanding the world of Pandora. This film is 3 hours long, yet somehow feels about 5 hours shorter than Babylon did. Avatar is simply put a movie. These other things? No. These are not movies. This is a movie. And a damn good one, and I am so ready for what's next. So that's it. That's the top 10 for the year. If you like this video and you want to see more is on the way. So please hit subscribe, turn on notifications, go in the description, follow me on all my other social medias because I'm going to be posting a ton of stuff there. 2023 is going to be a huge year, not just for films, but for me in general, and I promise you, the content is on the way.